Yeah. Make it happen. At times I really kinda thought of trying to make it trapping. Who the fuck gon' steer the ship if I ain't the captain? You wanna find the devil in me, try to play it backwards. They want my soul, if I sell it, I can make it back up. Don't worry about it, Illuminati probably pay me after. They got my soul in my body and my mind to back up. And then they say the show is over, tell the crew to wrap up. I'm trying to make it to the moon, hook me up with NASA.
All right, welcome back to another episode. Surprisingly, we still not canceled and we still around. Unwanted Attention. I'm here with my good old pal, my buddy old pal, Joe.
What's up, everyone?
So today, it's going to be an interesting episode.
Yeah, it is.
We got reptiles. Lots and lots of reptiles.
Different ones, big ones, small ones.
Yeah. And I am going to hold a snake.
You are. The biggest one we have.
What kind of snake is
it? Is a ball python. So it is a python. So they also go by royal pythons is their official name.
Yeah.
But he is our biggest one. He's about 5 feet when he's completely stretched out. Okay. He's 7 years old.
What's his criminal record?
His criminal record? Well, we got him a few months ago from Stephanie at work.
Yeah.
He was really well taken care of. She just felt like she didn't have the time for him, and obviously we do, because I'll play video games with him around my neck.
Yeah, you should do that on stream, by the way.
Yep, yeah.
You should definitely do that on stream.
Yeah.
It's kind of the reptile boys.
Yep. So he's 7 years old. He is a pastel banana ball python. So he is, that's the morph that he is.
Okay. How long do they usually live?
15 to 30 years. It's kind of having like a half a child.
Yeah,
it really is. And we have a couple younger ones. We have one that's under a year old, so we're in the long haul for that little guy.
So how many snakes you have?
We have 3 snakes right now. They're all males. Okay. We have basically large, medium, small. We have 3 bearded dragons, 3 leopard geckos, a crested gecko. And that tarantula right over there.
Yeah, she will be staying there.
Yeah, she's...
Because I was going to name this podcast, or Face Your Fears or whatever, and it's not even that I'm scared of snakes, I just genuinely have no interest in holding them or getting near them.
And that's, and you get that a lot. I have, my stepdad won't even come to my house inside. And he knows they're in a separate room. Contained in a contain, you know what I mean? Like, they're contained. I don't just let them run around. He still feels the need to not come. He's like, no, I'll sit outside.
No, the spider is definitely freaking.
No, the spider stays. She's a little temperamental. Their defense mechanism is usually not biting you, but what they'll do is, if you see her abdomen in the back, she'll take her back legs and she'll kick her hairs at you.
What the fuck?
Yep, she'll kick her hairs at you, and it's. Obviously, it doesn't hurt us, but it can irritate your skin a little bit, But for, predators her size, it kind of sucks. It definitely sucks.
Why spider to watch, right? You got reptiles.
You have to ask my wife that. We went in there and she just goes, "I want that," and so we got a spider, And honestly, they're pretty cool to watch. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily.
It's definitely interesting. I would give you that. It's just it's still creepy the fuck out.
It is, and there's a couple YouTubers that we watch that have massive collections of these spiders, and it is wild to see because they'll have essentially an egg sac, and when that egg sac breaks open, it's your worst fear. Yeah. There's so many of them. There's hundreds of them.
They eat each other like
they it's not common usually. I know there are some spider species that eat the male after they mate. But tarantulas not so much. They're more of a docile kind of breed, but there are bigger and way nastier spiders. Like the bird, I have a few friends that have bird eater spiders. They eat birds. They are big enough to take down a bird. Yes.
Bigger than her?
Oh, 3. She's not even full size. She's probably half the size she's gonna be. Yeah, they grow pretty big.
How long is her, that tarantula lifespan?
Tarantulas, they're about 5. I want to say between 5 and 10 years. That's 10 years being a very long living spider. Now I'm gonna double check. I can double check that statistic because
we don't do fake news.
We don't do fake news.
Shit.
Let's see here. I want to say
She can live to 25.
yeah, there's a Goliath bird eater. That's what a Goliath bird eater looks like, except it's the size of my hand. Yeah, they're not.
How do they catch birds?
That I don't know. I've never seen one. They don't. He doesn't feed them birds, but that's what they're called. Goliath bird eater. They're big enough to eat a bird. Males. Okay, here we go. So, prospective tarantula owners should be ready to make a long-term commitment to their pet. Males can live as long as 10 years. Females live past 30. Holy cow!
Jeez.
She lives 30 years.
I told you that.
Oh
and
my.
then males, the thing is, it's really hard to sex them because they're so small. But males, they reach sexual maturity around a year, and if they don't have any prospects of that, getting their aggression out, they can actually kill themselves. So.
The fuck?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That she's the tarantula expert over here. I'll keep my snakes and my geckos and my dragons, but she's But so the first one we will go grab. I'll go get.
All right, my first question though.
What's up? Let's do it.
Why reptiles?
Why reptiles? So my niece has, when she was staying with us, she had a horrible fur allergy.
Yeah.
So anything
no dogs,
with fur,
cats.
no, we had a cat. We got, we found the cat. We rehomed the cat to a good home because we were gone all the time. When we were working all the time, and I just felt like he didn't get enough attention because he was he was a playful cat. He wasn't a lone cat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's what my cat is right now.
Yeah. And I just felt that I wanted to do something that nobody else does. And everybody looks at me weird when I say that I have a 5-foot snake. Everybody looks at me hella weird that I have a spider.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, it's a hobby. It's not like keeping a pet where it's like, oh, I have a dog. Keeping dogs. I mean, there are hobbyists that keep dogs.
That's why I asked why.
That's but it's a fun hobby. They're really fun to watch. They're really interesting to watch.
Do you feel like how far are you willing to go into the hobby of it?
I would.
What's your goal?
My end game is to get a reticulated python and get him to 20 foot long. That's my end game. I would absolutely love to have a reticulated python.
Yeah.
However, a 20 foot long anything is hard to keep anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you have, I mean, we have a reptile room, a whole room dedicated to reptiles. There is no way a 20 foot python is going to live in that room. So eventually, when we move into a new house, that new house is going to have a basement, and he's probably going to have the basement. Whole basement. You know what I mean?
Is there a cage for a motherfucker like that?
Oh yeah. Oh, they make huge. They make cages that me and you could stand up in. Yes.
So what do you feed a 20?
So at that point in time, you would feed them pigs, baby pigs. Obviously dead. Yeah. I never feed anything live to my snakes at all. I don't feed live mice. So mice and rats have a tendency to fight for their life, as you know what I mean. And you run, not always, but you run the risk of having a scratch on your eye or tearing up scales. I have never ran into that because at first we did feed live.
Yeah.
However, you always run that risk, and why would you run that risk if you didn't have to?
Right.
Because feeding frozen thawed mice and rats is just as good as feeding live mice.
Do you think that also helps keep the aggression down?
I feel like it does. There's a lot of people online. I mean, everywhere that you read online, there's going to be backlash of how you keep an animal and how you're supposed to keep an animal, and everything has changed dramatically within the last 20 years of reptile keeping. So like even all the way down to substrate, what you're supposed to use is dirt for them. You know, wood chips. A lot of people say wood chips are good for your snakes. I don't use wood chips for my snakes just because they can grow bacteria. They can mold, you know. And then our big one, Apollo, he sometimes has shedding issues, so we keep his humidity a little higher than normal. And I don't want to run a risk of mold growing in his tank. Me not catching it makes him sick. So we use what's called cocoa husk. It's basically coconut fiber husk, and he loves it. Oh, he'll roll around in it. But you know, back to the feeding is like for the frozen thawed is, I just feel like it's cleaner. You don't have that kind of shock of hearing a mouse die, you know, and it's not something that really necessarily bugs me. It's just, there's no reason for it if you don't have to,
right?
You know,
I get it.
And having live, like feeding live, I had a snake when I was younger, a boa that would eat rabbits. That was her meal, was a rabbit, you know. And I wouldn't, obviously you couldn't put a live rabbit in there with a snake because he would never catch it, you know. And those were always kind of hard to find, you know. The hobby is becoming more popular recently. So you have a lot more rat and mice breeders out there that will sell you frozen thawed, you know, which is nice. But
that's crazy. You fucking throwing mice and shit just to kill them.
Yes, yeah.
I guess we do that with our food anyway. So.
We do, yeah. We just do it on a bigger scale.
Yeah. All right, so let's go get this.
All right, when we got? When's she bringing us first? So she's
Gus.
Gus. So this is Gus. This is our leopard gecko. One of 3 leopard geckos. So I'll tell you a little bit about him. We actually rescued him. It wasn't necessarily a rescue, but they weren't necessarily living in very good conditions, I would say. Typically,
him and his brother.
yes. Typically, you don't house more than one male leopard gecko together, because you get aggression, they get into fights, and it's just stressful for them, you know. However, him and his brother have been in. You see his stance. Yeah. Him and his brother have been in the same tank their entire life. They were originally purchased together from the original owner, and they are about 3. They're, I think, between 2 and 3 years old.
They might be a little older because we get them around 2.5.
Okay, so
the way that they act.
Yeah, they are very, very. Those 2 are very skittish.
Like
Yeah.
If you pet him, you're like right around here. He'll usually lean into it.
Yeah, they're cuties. Yeah. So a couple interesting facts about them is they can live for like 15, 20 years. That's basically a very standard lifespan for a lot of reptiles. They're initially found in the grassland areas like Afghanistan, Pakistan, you know, the desert climate. They're semi-desert climate. But now he might. There he goes. He'll go. I'm about to say he'll probably lick you.
They like to lick wherever they walk. Is this edible?
What's really cool is you can see his tail, his big old fat tail, right? So what he does with that tail is when he feels threatened, he will actually raise his tail up, straight up in the air, and wag it back and forth. And they use it as a distraction to get away from their predator. However, if that doesn't work, they can actually drop their tail completely.
And this is one of, if not the only species that will regrow their tail.
Yes. So
whereas our crested gecko, she drops her tail, it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Some breeders will actually do it for medical reasons for our crested.
Yeah.
They'll make sure that they drop their tail because they're usually deformed and whatnot.
And they also.
That's his ear, the big ass hole on the
Yeah,
side of it.
it's actually really funny because it's like a membrane that is the only thing separating his ears, so you can almost see right through his head.
Yeah.
Wanna do that?
So these guys, when we got them, one of them has missing toes. He's missing toes.
So this is good.
Well, he's missing the fingernails on his toes,
Okay.
just because they typically, when they shed, they actually eat their own shed. They're one of the only species that eat their own shed. So he'll get real white, real like translucent looking, and once it breaks, he'll literally turn around and just eat it off of himself. It's good for protein. It's completely natural for them. They do that. Now he had some shedding problems previously, and I think that's what caused him to lose kind of his nails and stuff.
Yeah, so he has a hard time holding on and climbing, so he does slide around a bit.
Yep.
Gotcha.
But he's a sweetheart. You know, he's
Loves
definitely a
hair.
sweetheart.
Oh, good
Yeah.
girl.
When we first got him, they were not eating live food. They were only eating the dried, like the, I guess, leopard gecko mix that they sell at like the pet stores. Which necessarily, I mean, it's not bad for them. However, it's not. There's like no moisture, next to no moisture in there, and I feel like that's probably why he had a lot of issues with his shedding.
Is there a reason like the color of his tail is different?
Nope, that's just natural for
That's
them.
natural.
Yep, that's natural for them. And when they lose their tail and they grow it back, it actually doesn't have the same muscles and the same movement that they previously do. So they're not able to wag it anymore. It's just kind of there. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a chill one. Now we have the two other ones look identical. Those are the ones that we do not have a necessarily different morphs of. Those are just normals.
These are
Yeah.
considered normal.
But their diet consists of crickets, live crickets, and doobie roaches.
Man, my friend had a gecko, man, or I don't remember what it was. And crickets got out in the middle of the store.
Yeah, yeah, that happens.
We're trying to get away from crickets.
Yeah.
Just the noise and the smell.
It was the
stink.
messed up part because when we was moving out, and our friend, her mom, she let him like keep it over there,
Mm-hmm.
and it got out over there.
Oh no, yeah, that's not good. Getting crickets coming out doesn't really bother me. I definitely don't want any of the roaches coming out.
No.
Now, dubia roaches and cockroaches are vastly different. If a dubia roach gets somewhere you can't get, like underneath your wall, they're not gonna multiply. They can't live in this environment. Like, comfortably can't live and reproduce in this environment. Typically, for a dubia roach to reproduce and actually have healthy offspring, it's got to be 90 degrees. Very dark, 90 degrees. They don't just spawn a million of them like cockroaches do, which is nice. We've yet to have a dubia roach get out. So knock on wood, but
I'm more comfortable around the spider than I am around the roaches.
yes, yes, she is. So, however, we're getting ready to start breeding roaches.
Why?
Because roaches typically cost between 10 and 30 cents a piece.
Okay.
And they typically eat, Loki will eat 10 of them if you give them to him, and that's our full-size bearded dragon.
And with his diet, it's supposed to mostly be greens.
Yep.
So he's on the lighter.
That is one nice thing about bearded dragons is as they're growing up from, and I want to say infant, juvenile stage up through adult, you want to feed them 80% bugs and 20% greens. So those greens are like kale, mustard greens, collard greens. They love collard
They'll
greens.
even do fruits,
Yep.
or even carrots.
Yep.
They usually eat with their eyes, so anything brightly colored they are interested in.
Yeah. Now, as they get
Same for me.
right. As they get older, you switch that ratio to 20% bugs, 80% greens. Bearded dragons are not very big on like drinking water out of a water dish. Most keepers don't even keep a water dish in their habitat. They get a lot of their their moisture and their hydration from the bugs, which is why it's always good to feed live. And then, excuse me, and then their fruits and vegetables. Vegetables give a lot of hydration for them. So you give them a healthy mix of vegetables, and they have good sheds, and you know they're happy, they're healthy, and you can tell when they're dehydrated. You can absolutely look at them and tell right away. So, but he is, the leopard geckos, he will sit in the water dish and just stick his face in it and drink. He sometimes sleeps in the water dish. So, but they are. But they are very interesting. The leopard geckos are probably the easiest starting reptile that you can get. I mean, they're even easier than the snakes, you know. They're very friendly. Even though I think you got bit by one.
Yeah, the only time I've ever been bitten by a reptile was a leopard gecko. It was actually this one.
Yeah, and it's a bite. It's a quote unquote bite. They don't have teeth.
He thought I had food. It was my fault.
They don't have teeth, but they are very, very docile creatures. You know.
So who we got coming up?
Who you got next, sweetheart? Oh, Quinn. All right, so Quinn is our crested gecko. Now they're a little different. They are. Let me pull up some info on them. Because she's our newest lizard, and we have been kind of trying to get into a little bit know more about them, and she's a sweetheart. What's really cool about them is they don't have any eyelids. So yeah, they don't have any eyelids. So with no eyelids, they're the ones that you see licking their own eyeballs. They're very interesting looking. Yeah. And they can actually stick to surfaces while leopard geckos cannot. So she has an all glass enclosure, and she'll sleep on the side of it. Like so.
What the fuck?
She's a lot more. She is jumpy.
Yes.
She will jump on you. So
They jump.
Do not freak out.
Yeah, they jump. So she is. Those are the ones that when they lose their tail, they're gone. But they got little stumpy butt.
Yeah, she surprisingly still has her tail. She came from
Brian. Yeah.
a house with a lot of dogs.
Brian. Yep. That surprised me because the dogs usually those dogs are wild, and with the noise and you know the constant in and out of the other animals, you would think that she is chill. She is just fine.
So wait, how do they lose their tails again?
They'll just drop them.
They just drop.
They just drop their tail.
They get scared.
Stressed or something?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Stress. They feel threatened.
I'm gonna let her jump at you. Try not to freak out.
She may jump at you.
She's.
No.
Okay. A little hot.
She feels so sticky.
Yes.
Their toes are basically like little suction cups.
Yeah.
See them under a microscope, they are very cool.
So she is actually gonna be shedding soon. That's why she looks a little gray. She sheds typically every couple months now, but this girl is full grown. So they are, as well as 15, 20 year lifespan.
Yeah.
Whoop, there she goes. But they're from New Caledonia, so it's between Fiji and Australia. Oh yeah.
She will typically just fall off, but she'll basically
might.
look like a frog on the tip of your
Looking on a treadmill at this point.
Yep. That's what it is.
Whenever you're ready. Okay.
Now, she was thought to be a Harley Quinn, but we don't think that she is. That's the type of morph that she would be. We haven't really figured out what she is yet, because she's got some unique markings. But she's a pretty girl, so.
And when
She feels so different from the other one.
Yes, absolutely.
She's very saggy.
Yeah,
You'll notice her back legs almost look like wings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She feels like almost like skin, you know.
Yeah, like,
She does.
The eyelashes is what gets me.
Yeah, she's got beautiful full eyelashes. Ugh, I'm jealous.
Her diet is pretty much the same as the others.
Yep, same diet. She eats a lot less. Typically, she'll only go for about 3 crickets a day, and if I try to feed her any more, she's not having it. She'll leave them in her enclosure, and she'll come eat them later.
So you do feed them. God damn. I turned my head for 2 seconds.
She's all right. She's all right.
Okay, you can go ahead and grab her, whatever. Then.
She'll probably sit on top of the mic.
I turned my head for 2 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Her, when I thought it was the cutest thing until I realized what it was, but when they get scared, they make this very high-pitched, quiet little squeak, and
Yeah.
I thought it was the most adorable thing.
And you're like, nope, she's scared.
No, she's terrified. I'm good with
But she is a sweetheart. She's very to herself though, you know.
Yeah.
If you try to go in there, she'll look at you, she'll say hi for a couple seconds, then you gotta leave her alone. But she's a
She's in a good mood. You can usually pet the back of her head, and
Yeah.
she'll lean into it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Inside of her enclosure.
Yep.
Take me home.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart.
Sleeping.
So
So she feels so cool though.
she does, right? She's interesting, man. She's definitely an interesting breed. They, like I said, they can walk up vertical surfaces, which is cool. I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And when we first got her, she was having some shed issues on her hand, on all of her feet. So it was really hard for her to stick to anything. She had one really good shed that I made sure I went in there and got off. You know, got all of her toes and stuff real clean. And now she's fit as a whistle. So, you want to grab Loki? Loki is our big boy. So he is a normal bearded dragon. Once again, 10-15 years. We already went through his diet. He eats a lot of greens. He eats dubia roaches. He eats crickets. He eats mealworms, superworms. He eats everything. That boy will eat everything. If you give him a hamburger, he'll probably eat it.
I gotta keep up with all these different
Yep.
meals and diets.
Exactly.
Big boy.
Yeah, he is our full adult male. Come here, Bubba.
I'm gonna take out
Yep.
Drax comparison.
Okay, so this guy here is about a year and a half old. He is, like I said, he's just a normal. Now you can tell if you look at his head here. Look over here, buddy. On his lip, you see he's missing a little bit of his lip. He got into a fight with another adult bearded dragon because he is very territorial, and she cut him up pretty well. So he
lost the fight.
he lost
He
the
lost
fight.
hard.
Oh, she was double his size.
Okay.
Yeah. So he.
Turned him away.
I was about to say, yeah, they don't. Him and Drax don't like each other.
He's a fairly large boy too. When we got him, he was maybe a quarter of this size. We were afraid to pick him up because he was so small.
And they don't sit in the same cage.
No,
No,
absolutely
no,
not.
no.
All
So-
of our beardies are separate.
So what this guy will do, this guy rules that room. That's his castle, okay? And if he notices the other two, because we have Drax, he's a male, and then we have Korg, she's a female.
Yeah.
If he notices the other two, he will do what they call it's a head bob. So his beard right here will turn completely black, and he'll just head bob at you because he's angry,
Yeah.
and that's how he shows his dominance,
So
asserts
does
his
he
dominance.
like occasionally look at the other one?
We've arranged them that way they can't, but we had them out cleaning out tanks on. Oh, what do you see? Did you see one? No, we didn't. We had them out cleaning their tanks, and he noticed them, and he goes right up to the top. He puffs out his beard real big, and just head bobs. That's what he does. What?
His tank, thankfully,
come over.
3 of the sides are blacked out.
Yep.
Only the front is see-through. It's plexiglass.
Do you want him? Yeah, he won't.
His talons are just a little. His nails are
A
sharp.
little
but
sharp, but he
it's
won't.
not
Yeah,
intentional.
he won't. But he is.
Looking at me crazy. I don't even like how you're looking at me.
He's never attacked a person before. Even when I had them, even when they mid-fight, I had stuck my hand in there to separate them, and they don't usually go after you. But he's usually pretty docile. Sometimes he'll get a little moody and puff his beard up at you, but he doesn't bite, he doesn't scratch or anything intentionally. But he has the biggest cage of all of them.
Yeah.
Believe it or
How
not.
long is it?
He is. Ooh, that's a good question. We have not measured him in quite a while.
14 inches.
Probably,
To
yeah.
16 inches.
Yeah. And he's a year, probably almost 2 years old now.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably almost 2 years.
We got him around 4 months old. 5.
Yeah, maybe a little older than that. Remember, he was pretty big. He's bigger than them. So, between 6 months and a year old, it's when you get them from pet stores, it's kind of hard to. They can't guarantee the age or the sex or anything. So we sexed him ourselves.
Because that was sold to us as a girl.
Yes, yeah, they were.
Originally, the name was Gamora.
Yep.
Okay.
And that is definitely not a
Wait,
girl.
so how y'all find out he was a boy?
I'll show you.
Yeah. He's got balls.
So if you look down here, 1 and 2. You see this split? There's this
Yeah.
crevice here. He's good. This is his testicles. And then a female is just straight across.
It's just one mound.
Yep.
Right, geez.
Yep. He's like, don't look at me. So he can probably actually just hang out here with us because he's pretty chill.
Until he poops.
What are you doing?
He's had his head poked up the whole time.
So, usually likes chin scratches until he doesn't. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. But he was our first. Well, we had Arbok, which was our snake, but he was our first lizard that we got. And he's been with us for a while now.
He's definitely the one that we interact with the most.
Yes, because he will, 90% of the time, he'll just come up here and he'll chill up on your shoulder or on the back of the couch.
Whatever the highest spot is.
As long as he doesn't jump off, he won't. And that's what he does. That's kind of his thing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Seeing if think of any more information. They're from Australia, so if you get a bearded dragon anywhere in the United States, it's captive bred.
Gotcha.
If they are telling you that it's a wild caught, they're probably lying to you.
Right,
Yeah. Just because it's illegal to import these from Australia, it is. Because Australia has some very interesting guidelines and laws for their pets and animals. But we bought him at not like a big chain pet store. We bought him at a local pet store in Columbus. And they're wonderful. I mean, they're very personable. They have their own personalities. You'll get some that are very active and very, outgoing. They want to be held all the time. They want to be played with all the time. And you'll get one,
How do you play with them?
some right in the middle. Oh, they can fetch. They can play fetch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen some, play fetch. And then you'll have ones that don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
Now he's about right in the middle. Usually he'll warm up to you a little bit. I think maybe that light is what's causing him to be. Yeah. But we, temperature wise, you have to keep a heat lamp in there for them at all times. So his basking spot is between 108, 115 degrees.
Is that for all of us, even the snakes and reptiles?
No. Just for him.
Just for him.
Now they all have a basking spot, but he has the hottest by far.
Yeah, it's much higher.
Yeah. So they absorb sunlight, and when they don't absorb enough sunlight, don't go down there. When they don't absorb enough sunlight, they'll turn a black color. Oh, he's fine. They'll darken themselves, and that's how they absorb more light.
Okay.
So you can always tell if you go into, if we go in there, see him pitch black, it's too cold in there for him. So we usually don't have that problem. with it being a reptile room, we've been able to keep like an ambient room heat just from all of the heat, so we don't actually have to use any nighttime heat anymore, which is amazing, because you always, for one, power bills are very expensive. Our electricity bill's gone up probably $40 or $50 a month just from that room, but it's worth it, and they're awesome. They're awesome creatures to have. They're fun to watch. They're fun to feed.
They're very hardy.
Yes, yes. Do you want to grab the roaches? We'll see if he'll eat a couple. No, I fed him some greens earlier. But... Now, what's really cool is they have a third eye.
Really?
So it's not an actual seeing eye, but right here at the top of the crown, top of their head, is basically a photosensitive eye. So they can see shadows coming over them, and they developed that. Australia, a bird will come down and pick this guy right up off the ground. So they're able to sense and see shadows, feel heat, from that area, and that really helps them. I mean, obviously in captivity, he has nothing to worry about. But in the wild, that really helps their survivability, Let's see if we can get him to eat one of these roaches.
These are really small, so you're not worried about it. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
So, careful, bud, you're gonna fall off. So, doobie roaches, let's look at these guys.
There's a big one.
They don't look like cockroaches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They kind of behave the same.
Do they get bigger? Because I feel like I've seen these.
Oh, these are babies. These are big.
I see these in California.
So, this is a doobie roach. These things are very hardy. They can survive nuclear blasts. You want this, bud? No. I was about to say, he's probably not going to eat because he's a little skittish right now. You sure you don't want this?
He's usually the first one to jump
Yeah.
out.
So, I mean, I did feed him earlier some greens. He may still be full. But he also is a little stressed out. I think the light's affecting him a little bit, but he's okay. Isn't that right, buddy? Yeah. He's a good one. He's a good one. I like this one. This is my, probably if I had my animal, this would be, he's mine. So.
Did we want to break into the snakes now?
Yeah. All right.
I want to do all three.
Oh, we
They're
will.
so different.
Oh no, I want to. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So we're doing Mikey first?
Do you want to start big or start small?
Start small.
Start small.
Because the geckos and the lizards warm me up. I'm like, okay, this is not so bad.
All right, so
This
Mikey,
isn't bad.
you've seen Mikey.
Yeah.
Mikey is the one that we brought over there. He is probably double the size from when we got him. He is what's called a ball python. So he is missing.
They all
pigment.
pythons?
They are. Yep, they're all ball pythons. He is missing part of his pigmentation in his color, and that's where you get the piebald from. It's like a genetic mutation.
Gotcha.
He's also 100% het gene for lavender, which is another very interesting kind of color. He potentially could produce, if fixed with the right female, he could potentially produce all black snakes.
Really?
Now that's every dream of any snake breeder because those snakes are extremely expensive.
Well, why is that?
They're just very rare.
Oh.
So the chance of you getting an all black ball python or some, they're called xanthics, which is like they look like you're watching a black and white TV.
Yeah.
The gray, they look gray and black. It's really, really cool. They are very rare. Now he, back in 2000, the early 2000s, all the way up to about 2010, that would be about a $10,000 snake.
Jesus Christ.
They're not that expensive anymore.
Yeah.
Him at his age, he's probably between $300 and $500.
Do y'all plan on breeding?
Oh, him will be bred. Yes. So he is.
He's waking up now. Right?
Yeah, he's good. So he is, as you can see, the color pigmentation back here is missing. And then it looks, if you look, it looks washed out. It's coming down and washed out. And it almost has like an emoji right here on the back. Now some of them will have an emoji, which is really cool. I've seen some with like a smiley face on the back. But he's our smallest of the three.
And those white spots on him, he's actually very low showing of his morph. So a lot of them will have 10 times more.
Yep. We've seen some piebalgs that are mostly this white color, and they just have a little bit, you know. But he is our youngest by quite a bit.
He's our most active.
Yes, he is also our most active. So, did you want to hold him?
I'm gonna do this.
All right, you got this. Don't be afraid of him. He knows that you are not food, I promise.
He will curl up into a ball before he bites you. That's
Their
ball bite.
Their defense mechanism is they will tighten up into this ball and they'll hide their head way before they try to bite you. Now,
He's so slick and slithery.
yes.
Slither. House of slither.
They are, once again, 15, 30 years.
Yeah.
There has been cases of longer living. I don't know what the longest is. I think it was 50, almost 50 years old, ball python, which is wild. But they are crepuscular, which means they're active at night. So usually, you know, we'll go in there during the day. They're all in their caves or hides, you know, hiding out, staying warm. And then, you know, when we get back home from work, go in there, all the lights are off. They're all out. They're all active.
It's funny turning on the light and all of them like look like they got caught.
Yeah.
A bunch of roaches start scattering.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're native to like Western and Central Asia or Africa. I mean, so once again, 99.9% of all ball pythons that you find here in the States are captive bred. I am usually not a very big advocate of catching wild snakes and keeping them as pets because there's an entire other temperament that they have being a wild animal. And wild snakes are just not, they don't make good pets, you know? They're not used to having, basically getting taken care of. And
They're very defensive.
Yeah.
And
you run a high risk of getting bit.
they get aggravated and they'll hurt themselves as they're trying to escape. And
So he eats small mice. I think we have one, don't we? You want to see? He eats small frozen thawed mice. And then Arbok, our medium-sized one, he eats large frozen thawed mice. And then
smaller one.
Yep. And then Apollo, our big.
we only have Apollo's food.
Oh, okay, just the rat.
Rat.
Apollo eats rats. So rats are typically twice as big as mice, even the frozen thawed ones, and they are not quite big enough to eat rats yet. But the goal is to get them all on rats because rats, believe it or not, actually offer more health benefits than mice do. So
It's like weird how he's like gripping around my arm.
yep.
The tip of his tail is like his hand.
Like that's what I'm saying. He got so much body control.
He
Like,
does. Yep.
He is all one muscle.
yes.
He
No,
is.
snakes have one lung, right?
One lung. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yes.
Gotta make room for all that muscle.
Yeah.
Just a moving little fella.
So
He's very, very.
you don't typically find them in trees. They're not huge climbers. You will have some rare ones that are just always up, always climbing something, you know. Typically they try to stick to the ground though. They do hunt in trees. But typically it's females are more grounded than the males are.
It's funny because when we first got him, we had to put a pin in the top of his cage to lock him in because he was always pushing at the top of his cage and
Always trying to get out.
trying to get out, be active and climb.
Now he's got a cage way bigger than him, So he's pretty happy now. He just went through a shed about a month ago. So right after they shed, their colors are very vibrant, very bright. But that shedding process is very, very stressful for a snake. So
Why is that?
most of the time they can't see. They're blinded during it. So you'll see like their eyes will glaze over. And I've actually had, not him, but Arbok, our medium-sized one, actually struck at me one time. He didn't hit me, but I was in his cage trying to clean something out, and he just struck out at, you know what I mean, out of his route, just because he didn't know what was going on. And that was my fault. That definitely wasn't his fault. I should have known better to not do that. But it is a very stressful time for these guys when they're going through the shed.
It's interesting watching them try and start their shed, so they usually start at their face.
Mm-hmm.
And it freaked me out when I first saw him trying to shed, because a good portion, probably all the way back to about here, was straight up in the air as he's digging his face into the ground trying to start the shed.
Yeah.
It looked like he was having a seizure almost, and I freaked out.
So there is a morph of these guys, of these ball pythons, called spider ball pythons. They can develop a neurological issue, and they just call it a head wobble. So like they'll just do this constantly. Now they don't. Vets and breeders say that it doesn't necessarily affect the snake any. I kind of beg to differ, because some of them can get very, very bad as they grow older. But we do not have. That's why actually breeders are trying to stop breeding spiders, stop breeding ball python spider morphs, just because they know that it's going to happen, and it's just a moral issue at that point in time. You know, if you want to breed a snake knowing that it's going to have these neurological issues, is that very moral or not? I mean, I know that I will never own a spider ball python, just because I know I will be constantly worried about it all the time. Yeah, right. I told you, you just once you get over your fear of them, man, it's.
And you figure out how to move with them as they're slithering around.
It just wasn't no fear, just like.
It's a little bit of a fear. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
It's okay, bro. It's okay.
That's a fear. And
That's fair.
A fear.
That's fair.
This was just like, I mean.
Why?
Why? Yeah, that's more of a why than I don't have to. Why do it? You know?
So he will probably, if you leave him, he'll probably fall asleep on you. So
I did wake him up.
he loves the warm. Anything warm, he loves. So.
Alright, let's get to the video.
All right, we'll go to Arbok next.
Yep, there's not much difference in size between Arbok and Mikey. I mean, if you think between Arbok and Apollo.
Oh yeah,
Mikey and
yeah.
Arbok, there's not much of a difference.
Well, yeah, Apollo's.
It definitely feels cool. That was the first time me actually holding an actual snake, not a garden snake.
Yeah, no, those
like
are
an actual
those
snake.
are little baby snakes.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, like I said, we do want to get a ball or a boa, a red-tailed boa. They're very, very beautiful animals, as well as your reticulated pythons.
Yeah.
Those are such graceful animals, and they are massive. They're huge. I think the biggest recorded one is like almost 30 feet long. Yeah. Anacondas are really cool.
Who was that? Was that you telling me, or Annie Lee telling me that, or you told her possibly that? I guess I don't know if it was in Florida or somewhere, or basically you get paid for catching snakes.
Yes, that was. I don't remember who that was, but I heard that too. Yeah, they have such a rampant problem down in Florida with people releasing their snakes into the wild. Yeah. Down in like Louisiana, Georgia, all that southern area, they have such a problem with people releasing these snakes that aren't native to that area, and they're destroying wildlife.
Jeez.
I give him a minute. He's
So.
a lot more skittish than Mikey.
So that is now Arbok is a normal ball python. This is a normal morph. So he's got every single normal looks different than the other, but color-wise and pattern-wise, they're roughly the same. But they say that no two snakes are alike. So he did not like that light.
No, he did. I felt his whole body. He was
Yeah.
like, no.
I see him. So he was our first snake. As you can tell, he's a little bigger. He eats medium to large mice, depending on where we get them from. They're about yay long.
Good rule of thumb is however big around your snake is about how big around the mouse is.
Because they actually, when they eat, they actually dislocate their jaw completely, and then they walk up their prey. Now these guys are constrictors, so when they attack and they bite, they'll bite and then they'll wrap their prey. And then after they wrap their prey, he hugs you. So what he'll do is, if you stick your hands up to him, he'll wrap just his head around you and he'll squeeze. But that's the way that they do it. Now, not all snakes are like that. There are non-constricting snakes, but these guys are mostly constrictors. So
You gotta watch for him. He will poop on you.
No.
Yes. It's happened 3 separate times. I don't care what you say. I've had to clean those sheets.
he pooped already. So. All right. So this one, smell ya. Now this one you want to support his body just because he's a little heavier. And then you'll see with Apollo, you have to support Apollo's body. He's a good boy.
We'll put Apollo on your shoulders.
He probably will. He is a very fond of wrapping around my wrist or my hand, and then just he'll set his head right here between my thumb and my index finger, and he'll fall asleep. So.
Yeah. Like, I don't like it there.
Yeah.
So, you can always they smell with their tongues, but you can usually tell. They have a lot of body language. If they're scared, if they're stressed out. He has a lot of tongue action right now. He's flicking his tongue a lot of long flips, which means he's in a good mood. So he's exploring. He found a new smell he's not used to. So yeah, I think you are. You're the only one. You're the only one to ever hold him. So. Everybody else is, usually everybody else cuts off at Mikey. And even then, it's a
He
far
likes
shot.
to do head boops, so he'll find like a crevice in your hand and rub his face in it.
But, he was our first one. And he's a sweetheart.
He's the baby.
Yeah. So. Now for his enclosure, we have him in a 40-gallon glass enclosure. Yep, he's all right. In a 40-gallon enclosure, and he loves it in there. I don't think that he ever wants to get a bigger one. If he does, when he gets full size, we'll probably eventually move him into something a little bigger, more of a snake enclosure, like a low boy. So they'll have ones that are, about 12 to 15 inches tall, but they're 2 feet deep. Well, 4 feet deep.
4 feet.
4 feet deep.
Long,
Yeah.
and then 12 inches. Yeah. 'Cause
So
they don't, like I said, they don't really climb.
he's not a climber. No, he's absolutely. He is.
He'll look for any crevice.
Yeah, I
tuck
know.
his
That's
way
what I'm trying to
in.
like.
Yeah, he will get into your pocket.
Like he wrapped his arm wrapped already, so
Yeah.
I can't move this.
So.
Honestly.
Well, I'm trying not to like agitate him more.
Oh, you ain't gonna agitate him, I promise. He's a. There you go. Yeah, we do not, just because, with my niece and nephew living with us, staying for a while, we do not keep anything that I deem as dangerous or vicious. I don't want anything vicious, just because of this right here, where I feel very comfortable letting somebody else hold them. And with a vicious snake, I mean, why have a vicious snake? A lot of breeders are now going into, do you need a You need it powered.
Yeah.
Oh,
We can get it.
I'll get it for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Let me get you on.
I'm still confused why Apple didn't put the USB-C on their phones. But they put
Money.
But they,
I'm
yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Would you like the
I think I'll be alright. Just trying to get me started, warm me up. So what's his name again?
Arbok.
Yep. Oh, okay.
Just like the Pokemon. Very easy to remember.
Which is Snake. What is it? No.
No, that is
Col-
Ekans.
What is it?
Cobra.
Cobra.
With a K backwards,
Yeah,
yep.
K backwards,
Or AKA Bok Choy,
yes.
Yep.
AKA Bok Bok.
Yep. So. See, I told you they're not so bad. They're really
Funny
not.
'cause, we'll take out a dog toy, one of those like
Mm-hmm.
silicone balls that have the holes poked out in them, and
Mhm.
they just
He'll crawl in through it, and,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel safe letting him do that just because it's rubber, so it gives,
Mhm.
and he's not squeezing and hurting himself. Because sometimes they can get a little overexcited, squeeze something that's hard, and rip off, damage some of their scales.
It's like cool to feel the grip they have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like how he. Like,
Oh, you-
Just the back end of his
Oh, just
tail.
wait.
Oh, Apollo's got some grit.
He's as strong
Apollo will
as a-
choke you out.
as strong as a full-grown man.
if you let him, Apollo can choke you out. He doesn't, obviously, but he definitely can.
That is cool. All right, we can get to Apollo.
All right, let's get to Apollo.
Big boy. Come here, Bok Choy.
He's like, but I was enjoying that.
That was exploring.
56
Ooh,
minutes.
man.
About an hour. That's what I try to get to.
Yeah.
So Apollo.
Apollo's next. Now, we did not name Apollo, but he is named because he's yellow and white after the sun.
Okay.
The god of the sun, right? I don't know.
I was thinking Creed more. That's what I was thinking.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's
taking
fair.
the teachers out.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Thought he was a boxer snake. Oh shit.
He is a sweetheart. He's a gentle giant. That was
And it was just so happened that Steph, he's a python.
yeah.
So pythons are like commonly.
That's probably the most common snake in the snake trade.
Okay.
Is
Gotcha.
they're definitely the most beginner friendly because they're the most docile by far.
Okay.
I've never been bit by a ball python. Boas, yes, I've been bit by a boa. There are some species of snakes that are big enough to eat you. They don't, and 99% of every single story that you hear that the snake was crawling in bed and sizing people, that's all fake. That's all.
Okay, I was just about to ask you.
They
about
don't do
because
that.
I definitely seen. I heard one about.
There is, if you don't feed your snake for a year and they're starving, they might try to eat you. You know, it is not common at all, though. That's not a
Yeah, 'cause
not
I was saying
necessarily.
they said that she just kept letting the snake sleep in, sleep
No.
in bed, and one day sized their ass up.
No, that is very unlikely. Now, the snakes big enough to eat humans are typically not kept as pets.
Right.
Those snakes would be like your anacondas down in the Amazon. Those can grow. There's been rumors that there's snakes that are 40 or 50 feet long down there. But like I said, those are just rumors. So that is Apollo. He is full grown. He will not grow any longer than that.
So how long?
He's completely stretched out. He's about 5 foot.
Okay.
Which is not long compared to some of your bigger like boas, and definitely not your reticulated pythons.
Yeah.
So this guy is 7. You see how long his tongue is, and he will actually give you a kiss if you let him. Are you gonna give me a kiss or no?
No, you woke me up.
No, he's not.
They was all asleep.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, he was curled tucked into
So
his tiny
when we got him, he actually had. You can actually see a little bit of the remnants down here. You see where it's a little red down here. He had some issues right down there too. Some scarring with a heat mat. So heat mats, they're typically or temperature regulated, but these guys will just sit on the heat mat forever. You know, and if they don't move, you can actually get heat mat burn. Exactly. So luckily his wasn't too deep. It wasn't Stephanie's fault by any means. It does happen. You know, it definitely happens. The heat mat, they're supposed to regulate themselves so they don't overheat. Some of them, they just get hot, and they just keep getting hotter. I have every single piece of heating equipment in that room. We have temperature control regulated. So we have it plugged into a thermostat. Once that thermostat hits a certain temperature, it shuts off.
And it's gotten to the point now where the temperature is so constant that they don't ever really kick on.
All right. So this guy does need supported.
And he's very strong, so don't be afraid.
Yes, he will. It will feel like he's squeezing you, but he is not going to. He's definitely not big enough to eat you. He's definitely not big enough to eat you.
And he has no intention of constricting you to a point where it hurts. It's just holding on.
He feels a lot different just because of how big he is. His scales are very, very big. So, but you can see like the black dots in his pigmentation is really pretty. He's a beautiful snake.
He definitely got some weight on him.
Oh,
Weigh him?
Huh?
Gotta weigh him?
We've not weighed him yet. Probably, I would say he's like, let's see what they say.
Oh, it's like 8 to 10 pounds.
Yeah, I'm about to say
Yeah, about 10 pounds is what I'm gonna go with. He's an eater. He loves to eat. So we put him on a little bit of a diet, just because he's starting to get a little chunky. He eats. Now snakes are nice because they don't cost a fortune to feed. Like Mikey eats once every 2 weeks. Arbok will eat once every 3 weeks, and he eats like once every 5 to 6
So
weeks.
this, I'm gonna keep my
Yeah.
distance, but
That's
that's
the
his
rate
meal.
that we will feed him.
Put that up in the camera.
Yeah. It's frozen thawed. Well, it's frozen now. We thawed out. Now this is a very big. Kind of
I need a
subject. Screenshot. There you go.
I need a thumbnail.
There you go. This is a very big very big sensitive subject of how you feed your snakes. A lot of people say feed them in the enclosure. There's no reason to take them out of the enclosure, stress them out. If you move a snake after they eat, you do run a risk of them regurgitating their food.
Yeah.
And that's 100% accurate. You know, it is like that. However, I do take my snakes out of the enclosure, and I have a separate feeding box that I feed every single one of my snakes in. The reason I do that is because you really reduce the risk of them being in a feed response in their enclosure. So if I'm open their enclosure and I feed them in their enclosure, the next time I go in there and they're hungry, they're gonna think that I have food. Now, all of these guys are very good about going up, smelling what it is, kind of waiting a second, and then going. But there are snakes that will literally just instantly go after it, you know. And when you run into that, you run a high risk of getting bit. And I know the moment that I get bit is going to be the moment that I don't want to hold that snake anymore.
Yeah. What's good about that box is it has, well, gross, but it does have like juices from.
The scent, the blood, the scent of mice in it.
Yeah, I'm about to
So-
imagine it.
So they know when they go in that box,
Yeah.
it's time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We right when we drop them in, they're in feeding mode. And then when they're done, they're out of feeding mode. You know, I can pick them up, I can put them back in. Now, in the aspect of like regurgitation, I've never had that happen in mine. I've been doing this forever. I've never had that happen before. However, once we do feed them, they are not touched or held for 3 days while they digest that food.
Take that long?
It typically takes longer than that, but we just wait 3 days because by then it's usually in the back half of their body, and you don't really run risk of any kind of regurgitation or anything. So.
Plus, most of the time, after the first 2 days, we feed them, they are in a hive. They don't want to be messed with.
Yep.
They don't really come out.
I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah. So snakes can swim. They love water. They absolutely love. They'll stick their whole face in the water and drink. And then yeah, their diet is just rats and mice till you get into the bigger ones. Yeah, he will try to go in your
Careful
pocket.
with
Yeah.
the face.
He
You can just
will.
pull from here. Just kind of get under him and.
He will stay on rats his whole life. The bigger snakes you run into, like rabbits, guinea pigs are. You don't really feed guinea pigs. They'll eat a guinea pig, but you don't want to feed them guinea pigs.
Have you ever thought about getting like a little water situation, like a pool situation for them, just to kind of?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna do. Yeah, I want to get a pond, but the thing with a pond is you gotta build it, and I don't want to do that.
We rent.
Now he loves water, so he will fill up the bathtub a little bit and let him go do his own thing.
That also helps with any stuck shed or if he's having humidity issues.
Now he when we got him, he was having some shedding issues, but I think he's really worked that out now because I have. Can you grab his shed? I think his shed's still over there.
I could feel like some of the scales was like.
Yeah, he does have a few scales every so often that are a little out of the ordinary, but he's a very healthy boy. We do take our animals to the vet quite frequently just to get checkups. And Cord, our female baby bearded dragon, she has an eye that is going blind. It's a deformity of her skin, of her eye, and that's his shed.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it's actually in pieces, but
Yep. So that's his shed in a couple pieces. And what's really funny is Mikey's the little one. Every time he sheds, he poops. So
Yeah.
he'll poop, and then the shed will come with it. So every time I'm pulling shed out, I gotta clean his shed out. Yeah, that's what he
So
does.
it almost feels like a plastic bag, like a grocery bag.
Oh my god.
Right.
Very, very dry.
Oh, that is I don't know what that
Substrate.
is. But
It's substrate.
yeah, he'll squeeze and he'll squeeze.
Well, it's not even that. It's just I'm trying to keep him up.
He's heavy,
I'm just trying to keep him up.
Alright. So most of the time, come here, bud. Yeah, he likes watches. He'll steal your watch. I literally have to take off my watch and rings when I pick him up because he will steal it. Come here, boss. So typically, he'll come right around your neck.
Yeah, that's probably easier to carry.
Oh yeah, it's so much easier to carry. And he,
'Cause I'm trying to support him like y'all said. I'm just
yeah, he loves the warmth. Typically he'll wrap around you and squeeze, but today he's in a new area. We usually don't have him out here, right, bud? So he's exploring a little bit.
Are you planning to get more?
Oh yes. Oh absolutely. Oh 100%.
What's next?
A female.
A female.
Why female? Particularly?
We're gonna breed.
Okay, yeah.
We're gonna breed Mikey. This guy's a little too old. Plus he's been a pet for so long. Not all the time, but most of the time after you start breeding snakes, they kind of don't necessarily become vicious, but they're a lot less personable after that.
Gotcha.
They just want to be left alone. They, definitely don't want to be held. You definitely run a higher risk of them kind of striking at you. These guys aren't big enough to kill you. This guy's still not even big enough to kill you, because I am strong enough to be able to pull him off. Anything bigger than this, though, it's always recommended to have at least 2 people in the room, just because, you know, some of those bigger ones, 10 foot, 11 foot long, they get up to 30 pounds. They can choke you out. Even him, like right now, he has his, and he's squeezing. So it's not painful by any means. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's not painful. But I know that's just him holding on because he knows he's a fat boy. And he knows if he doesn't, he's going to fall. So, but he's probably my favorite snake. Just because he's so, for one, he's so big. And for 2, he's the most personable, I think. Mikey's pretty personable, but once he's done with you, he's done with you. This guy will stay out of his enclosure for hours if you let him, and just do whatever you want to do with him. He's a big fan of chin scratches, so I'll let you scratch his chin.
I still don't think I can own a snake my damn self.
You don't think so?
Nah, man.
Man, I don't know.
It's the feeding that will probably get me after a while.
The feeding is not nearly as.
Feed my damn fish, man.
Yeah, the feeding is not bad, considering it's sometimes once a month.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And once you are, you know, most of these guys, they're not vicious when they take it.
Right.
You know, he is a baby when he takes it. He'll just go. Oh. And then
Mikey is probably the most vicious, but that's just because he's our best eater. He knows when he's in that box, he starts going crazy, looking through all the corners, and we dangle it for a half second, and he'll take it. And you don't have to hold it very tight.
Yeah.
Because he'll take it from you and wrap it instantaneously.
So, but with this guy, he's a baby when it comes to eating. He's very, very gentle, you know. And like I said, like once every 5 to 6 weeks is typically what we feed him. We might wait another week just because he is a little overweight in some places, but he's really healthy.
How do you keep track of everybody? Food's good.
It's very complicated. No, it's not. We just remember. We're typically pretty good about remembering when we do it.
Because we usually only feed them on the weekends.
Okay.
So it's like we didn't feed them last week, we didn't feed them the weekend before. So.
And then I also keep the receipts of all of the food that I buy.
So do you buy them like prior to right prior before you buy?
No, we typically we bought that rat for him last weekend.
It was a 2-pack, so it was a couple
It was a 2-pack,
Yeah,
okay.
we bought the smaller mice though for like Mikey or Arbok. We usually come in a 4-pack, and so it's easy to keep.
They stay in the freezer. They don't stay, you know.
They're individual plastic baggies,
Yeah.
and then we wrap in another bag when we thaw them, and it's really easy. Just put them in warm water, let them defrost, get them up to temperature, because that's how they figure out where the food is by heat and smell. So.
Yeah, this guy's definitely my favorite.
She's my favorite to feed.
Oh yeah, let's see if you want to see if she'll
I
eat.
don't know if she'll eat because she is super stressed out with this new enclosure, but she's usually on it.
So she eat roaches too?
Oh yeah. Yep, roaches and crickets. Let you go, bud. Now she's scared.
Sorry,
I'm
baby.
surprised she didn't figure out.
Yeah, she's right there right now.
Hey, what's going on?
I'd do a fairly, probably that big one. I'm gonna be real with you.
Well, I'm trying to grab it. Only thing about these. She has thorns.
Oh, he's in there.
Yeah, that's the only thing about them. She'll probably find them later, because I know that she's hungry. She'll
Why
be in a couple days.
Oh, yeah,
she
she
definitely
went-
attacked
Yeah,
the
she
tongue.
went after the tongs because she knew it was on there. So coaxed her out because those guys are big. So
It's in there. I'm just gonna probably grab another one.
yeah, it's
These are kind of small.
Just
Not with how big she is.
The roaches can stay. You never want to leave your food in a tarantula tank.
Right.
Crickets can actually bite, and if I showed you that spider or her molt that I brought up. After she molts, she's very, very vulnerable. So during that time, crickets can actually kill her.
Oh wow.
Believe it or not. I would just
They are so strong.
I would have just kept it on the palms.
I was.
Oh.
They were clamped.
Yeah.
It's very strong.
As soon as they touch the lawn, they just pull them off of it.
Yeah, it'll pull its own leg off to get out of there. Well, you got 2 snacks for later, baby girl.
She her legs raised up.
Yeah, I feel bad. I know, I teased you. If she get off the log, I could open it, but
Yeah, she's not gonna get off that log unless you make her upset. Yeah,
she's mad.
she's very upset.
Give me my food.
She's very upset.
Alright. I'll leave you alone, baby.
That is funny.
Did you get the big one?
That's the first one
Oh,
I
that
went
one.
in.
Okay, that was the big one.
I know, she's looking for him. She's hungry.
Yeah.
She'll find him later.
Yeah. Or they're gonna
Giant.
get real brave and climb up there and be gone. They do that.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That's a lot of different.
Yeah.
Lot of
That's cool,
different
though.
reptiles.
It's gonna be a cool episode. I just hope everything recorded correctly. That's the only thing I was worried.
Yeah.
Well, it just means you gotta come back here again.
I think you're eventually gonna get one.
Chucky?
Yeah, a little bit. Hey, bud.
You help?
No, I'm good. No, it's fine. I think that eventually you're gonna get one.
I don't know, man. I it's a lot, like, because obviously my thing is like if you get any pet or whatever,
Stop it.
you
can't.
you know, I would never want to neglect that pet
Yes.
because I'm now our full responsibility.
Yep.
So with that being said, I know how I am. My cat has a cat feeder. Okay, I barely feed my damn fish as it is.
That's
they
fair.
get fed like every 4 days or so.
Well, what
That's
I'm saying,
fair.
These snakes,
Yeah,
dude,
but
every couple weeks.
I might forget. Then it's like this motherfucker looking at me and I'm looking at you. What you want? Like, I don't know, man. But
Come
who
here.
knows? Who knows what the future holds?
It is. They're very fun to keep. They're an interesting. You know.
They're definitely interesting to watch.
They're a talking point in any, party. And anybody goes over to your house, you're like, yeah, I have a snake. They're like,
And then it's like, I have a reptile
a
room.
lot of times. So,
And well, knowing you guys, I guess it would, it's not out the realm of possibility because I always ask y'all questions and stuff like
oh
that.
yeah, absolutely.
So
And if you ever need anyone to watch them,
Yep.
you know.
So they're fun, man. And you get one like this who just, he'll just hang out. He'll hang out. He loves my computer chair. There's like a hole in the back of my computer chair that he'll stuff himself into and then like brace himself up against it and he'll just sleep there. So,
that would bring him on stream though. That'd be,
yeah.
that's your niche. Play the game with my reptile.
Oh yeah, I'm going to. I am definitely going to.
He was playing League and
I was.
wearing Apollo and people were watching his stream on the opposite team.
Yeah, because at the
Yeah.
very beginning they were like, they said something like "Good luck, have fun," and I was like, "Come watch you lose." And I posted my Twitch, and one of them came. He goes, "Is that a live fucking snake around your neck?"
See, look, that's how you
It's
get
like,
it, bro.
yep.
That's how you do it.
And then they put a text. They're like, "As an insta follow," they said, "I love reptiles." But
Oh,
they,
shit, if that's the case.
I'm telling you, man. They're interesting. They're definitely
Yeah.
interesting.
And
Did
if
he?
he stuffed himself in between. Yeah, let me unbutton you.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
That is
Yeah,
fun.
he
He's
got
on
through the
sleeve.
hole in his.
How did you manage? Now you're stuck in. There you go. Ding dong. But he's a beauty. He's definitely a beauty.
And he is so personal. Like, he is the friendliest little guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's little for, a large snake. But
Yeah, he's kind of big for a male.
Yes,
I'll be honest.
he is
Females
big
are
for a
usually bigger than males
Really?
by like a foot.
Why is that always the case in like a lot of
Nature knows.
Yeah. Reptiles. Usually the females are always bigger than the males.
Yeah.
But that's
I feel
not
like I
the
hear
case.
that
for
a lot with like other species.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Spiders. I mean, look
spiders,
Yeah.
at what are those black widow spiders?
Mm-hmm.
They're vastly superior. Women are. The females are the men. Females are the men. Females are the males. And typically, after mating, the black widow will eat the male spider. Snakes don't do that, thank God.
Tarantulas sometimes do.
Tarantulas can, yeah. Some different species.
If,
There's quite a few different. She's a Mexican red toe or red knee. Then there's a pink toe tarantula. There's a curly hair tarantula. Those are ones that are like very curly. They're very hairy ones. They're interesting. She's hairy, but they are very hairy.
Yeah, the more hairier, the more scary.
Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
I think the one movie a long time ago, Eight-Legged Freaks.
Eight-legged freaks.
Freaked me the fuck out.
Yes.
And I was done with spiders ever since then.
That is, yeah. I mean, that is definitely science fiction.
I know, but still, I was fucking like what, 12?
Yeah, we were young, man. We were definitely young.
Man,
So-
Amazon scared the fuck out of me, and here we are.
Yeah.
I just knew I wasn't going to fucking Amazon to go see it.
Exactly. That's what it's like. Everybody's like, "Aren't you afraid that?" No, dude. My snake is 5 foot long. Like, it's not gonna. Now, if I had a 30-foot long snake, yeah, no, I wouldn't pick it up and play with that one. You know.
Yeah.
But.
All right, man, because I gotta edit this shit too. So,
No, you're good. You're good.
Thanks, you guys, for being on the episode of whatever this is called. But yo, until next time.
Unwanted attention.
Unwanted attention.
Unwanted attention.
Let's just